Bhagavate Shri Arunachala Ramanaya.
न भूमिर्न तोयं न तेजो न वायुः न कम्नेन्द्रियं वा न तेषां समूहः अनेकन्तिकत्वात् सुषुप्त्यैकसिद्ध तथैको वसिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम् तथैको वसिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम्. This again from Adi Shankaracharya, Shloki, Shlokam 1. It is told that when Shankaracharya went to his Guru, the Guru asked him, "Who are you?" And the reply was this Shlokam: "I am not water, I am not earth, I am not fire, I am not wind, I am not ether, I am not sense organs, or a combination of all this. Because they don't exist always, they go away during deep sleep. I am simply the self, the auspicious Shiva. Because it remains when everything is taken out, even in sleep."
When we contemplate this Shiva, with devotion, with love, when we remember this self all the time, one-pointed, this self manifest in us. It unfolds in us. Though it is present in all of us all the time, in our heart, but we will never know it as us. We can only have after effects until we look for it. All the examples of self which an ignorant person tries to collect are like when the elephant has gone and we are looking for the footprints. That is what the impressions of self on mind are. When we come from deep sleep, we had a good experience and we say that I slept well. Though during that deep sleep, we were not aware of that pure awareness as us. Only later we say this. To have that experience of the self as self, we have to put all our energy into it. And then it unfolds. So in a way it lies dormant in us, for us, though in reality it is never dormant. But for a person who is acting from ego, which is only projection of the mind, there is no self to experience. That is why anyone can say this, that there is no God or there is no self. Because at ego level, yes, there is none to know. People who say there is no God, they are true. Because at the level of ego, there is no God. Only when we leave ego, then only we know that. In Bhakti Marg, what a devotee is doing is constantly contemplating by devotional songs, by remembering, by longing. And eventually it starts unfolding within. Process is as fast as our ego is melting away or longing is increasing. Some people say this path of non-duality is Gyan Marga, it is the path of knowledge. I was looking through the comment. A lady said it's like a dry mango, there is no juice in it, while bhakti is like a juicy mango. People try to segregate and separate by their intellect. There is no difference between bhakti and gyan, devotion and knowledge. They both go together, not one exclusive to other. If you see in case of Bhagavan Shri Ramana Maharshi, no one is known as a disciple or a student. They are all called as devotees. What is devotee? Understand this truth. Devotee means who has devotion. And devotee comes from only bhakti marg, path of devotion only. Then how can you say it is exclusive? And see how many songs of praise for Bhagwan, for Arunachala, on non-duality has been written and spoken by devotees in past and even now. Even on path of knowledge, which some people think it is dry, when you enter the field, domain of self, you are filled with joy, filled with bliss. If someone is feeling dry, that means he is still at intellectual level, ego level. He is not leaving his ego. And for him, it is just a topic. You can read books and books. It's not going to give you that unless you contemplate on it. Nowadays we have books, but if you see, it says more on Shravan, listening. Listening to whom? Listening to teacher, listening to scriptures said by someone, spoken words. You listen and you do manan. Keep thinking about it. So your mind gets purified, remembers it, and then is interested in it. And then you contemplate on this truth to make this truth as yours by knowing that. Everything stays as a concept unless we know it within us. The moment it is known within, it is known everywhere. Because there are not many selves, it is only one self. It is universal self. And self is never personal. Ego is personal. So the one individual who identifies self becomes impersonal forever. Though he or she might have relationships as born in a family or whatever he lives in, but he has no relationship with the body he or she is living. So there is end of all relationships of all sorts for that person. He has left his personality, that person, with body. As we know that I am a man or a woman or a person by a name, self-realized one also always knows that he is that self. There is never any doubt. Like an individual is so certain that this world is real, there are others, and I have a body. He is also absolutely certain that I am none, and there is nothing exists except the self. And there is always this pervading self in everything and being. And nothing is separate. Nothing is without self. And I am the source of everything. Even source of this mind, source of waking, source of dream. Nothing beyond me, nothing without me. If I sleep, everything sleeps. When I awake, everything awake. It is all my consciousness. My consciousness is the light in which display occurs. Very hard to understand this truth from ego. Intellectually, you can understand. Maybe with examples, you can get convinced. But the doubt always stays because you have not tasted the truth. Only way to be 100% doubt free is to know the truth. And to know the truth, you have to give up your position. You have to give up your person, your ego. You have to move out from here. One has to transcend, leave mind behind. There is no other way. Whatever path you choose, at the end, the one who is choosing the path has to finish. It is like self-immolation. The one who starts on this path does not reach at the end, he finishes. There is no one to declare that I know the truth. I finishes, only truth is left. So there is not even one single person in the world who has been there and now reporting from there. Sometimes people have small glimpses and the mind takes over. And the mind always talks about the footprints of the elephant gone. Mind has no clue. Touch this self in your silence. Though there might be thoughts and feelings and emotions and so many situations, you go within and embrace your pure silence and be one with that. And keep your eye on it. Stay long enough so your ego burns out. No trace of person is left. Don't start reporting from there as a person. Allow everything to finish. Be one with that. When someone says, I am that, only that is there, no I. Self is not a thing. Nobody can describe self. Self has no mind. Self is beyond mind. You cannot see self, you can only be self. There is only one thing which never changes. There is only one thing which is eternal. There is only one thing which is always bliss and peace. And there is only one thing which is independent of everything, unaffected, self-supported. And there is only one thing which is beyond matter. Even this subtle causal body, including mind, is also part of matter. You can grasp it. Now we have technology to pick up thoughts of a person, even if he or she can't speak. Putting electrodes on brain, we can pick up thoughts. And we can make those thoughts as word or action. In people who cannot speak, quadriplegic, we can pick up thoughts from brain. But there can never be a machine to pick up self. Only the person has to become the instrument to know the self. For a person, his joy and his suffering depends on mind. For ego, it is a mind-dependent living. We go through stress, anxiety, depression, mania, joy. Whatever the state of mind is, we feel our own state. That is why we have people for mind therapy. We have medicines for it. And from those extreme states of mind, we can bring a person in the middle of the curve. But that's not freedom. All our fixes from Western medicine are fixing the mind, bringing it to the normal Gaussian curve, nothing else. Path of knowledge or path of devotion is the cure, is the treatment for the disease called samsara, disease called ego, disease called this worldly life. Scripture says this is the first disease and the last disease to treat. You can treat this body and treat this mind by medicines. But if we don't treat this disease known as worldly person operating from ego, then you are suffering from disease, birth after birth after birth, and there is no end to it. So many people ask this question, that why there are less realized beings. Very simple to understand. This word, what we see, this earth is the place to pass this exam or cure this disease. And the people who have sorted this out, you will not see them here. The one who has passed exam will not be at the examination center. He is free and bound. Why will he or she come back? Some say that some people have compassion, they come back as teachers, as avatar. Be free from this samsara by knowing the truth. So many people have no purpose or meaning in life. And sometimes we try to find purpose in our actions. And we get so busy and entangled in that purpose that we have no time to know who we are. And life finishes. If you make your own liberation as purpose of life, you will have no time for arguments or indulgence or creating problem for others, because you will understand that you are the problem and you are the solution. Nothing outside us. No one to fix except us. When thoughts arise, you just stay here. Don't go with them. Don't get excited or depressed by them. Be with your own inner silence. Self has infinite power, and in that power, no thought stays. It is like self-effulgent sun. And in this light, no darkness of thoughts can stay. Thoughts can stay only in darkness of ignorance. It is like all those nightly creatures which comes into play when it is dark. And when sun shines, they all disappear. When this self-effulgent light of self unfolds because of our constant sadhana, all this ego construct disappears. It just finishes off. Our job is to just stay here in heart and enjoy the bliss within and be with that and allow the process to occur. Once you touch self, you attain bliss, you know the truth, then the process continues in its own way. Readjust everything as if the higher power is doing everything for you and you are getting a 5-star treatment and you don't have to think about anything. It is getting rid of a big burden of responsibility which ego carries on its head all the time. Doership, bounded by action after action, no end to it. Knowing the self, first time we realize that I was not doing anything. I am uninvolved. And everything just happens. No one to blame or give credit. It is just as it is. I am the source. to start on the path of self-realization, we just have to give up what ego gives us. When we give up our relationship with ego mode, then self unfolds. When we give up charge of our life, then absolutes pulls us out. We are self-appointed manager of our life. And we have not managed it well. When we realize this and we give up, then this hologram, this reflection of us with a tainted glass, with a conditioned mind, when it gives up, whatever the reason is, then self, which actually is managing, is realized. Ego is duality. Giving up ego is non-duality. Duality is fake, is suffering, and non-duality is liberation. All is one. We know this only by knowing the self. We are this pure silence. Understand, no thought is for us. If you understand this, then what is left is self only. Thoughts are very useful to sustain life at ego level. But same thoughts are obstacle if you want to be free from ego mode. When we take away our interest from thoughts, then the mind dies its own death. And what is left is the one which is always there. Now you can see that. But both cannot happen at the same time. Our incessant desires are giving rise to thoughts. To stop those thoughts, to be desireless, is the wisdom. I would say you just stay in your silence. Don't worry about desires and thoughts and doership. The more you abide in silence, ignoring all these things, they will eventually disappear. Only our interest is keeping them here. Whatever the body does, let it happen in silence. You hold on to this silence and you will always be free from doership. That will be the end of ego. This silence, inner silence, is pure awareness. It has no other attributes by which you can define or can find. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Arunachal Ramanaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, thank you, thank you.